This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 2nd day of January in the year 2019. Here's what we're tracking tonight. When the National Assembly meets tomorrow, the Speaker is expected to present the final ruling on the no-confidence motion and vote following the government's request for a review. The government's contention is that the vote is not valid, since 33 votes do not represent the majority that was needed to pass the no-confidence motion. The government is of the view that it should be 34, and it is that argument that it has been making in a media blitz on radio and television. The administration has already indicated that if the Speaker's ruling does not go in its favor, then it is prepared to move to the courts, and has already put a high-level team of lawyers in place for that.
But we believe that the issues surrounding the vote have created a controversy, and there are contentions on both sides as to what constitute a majority of all the elected members in the National Assembly. There are some advocates that said that you needed 33 votes. Some others have said you need 34 votes to make a majority. Well, there is a contention here, and we believe that the promise made by the Speaker that he would deal with the consequences of the vote should be allowed to take place in a manner that gives the interpretation as regards the threshold of the Constitution.
Meanwhile, the PPP is accusing the government of trying to stall the hosting of national elections within 3 months. PPP General Secretary and Opposition Leader Barra Jagdew has said his party believes the government needs to start preparing to face the electorate.
Is that the Speaker has no power of review. It's not the Speaker who voted in Parliament. 33 members on one side voted in favor of the motion, 32 against. The Speaker reported to the House that the motion has been passed. The clerk then notified me by way of a letter, which I have, that it has been passed. So, for the Speaker to reverse this now, he has to come up with a new interpretation of what it will take, what is a majority. And I doubt that our Speaker will place his credibility at stake here.
Under the Constitution, following a successful passage of a no-confidence motion, the government would have to call elections within 3 months, or at a time agreed to by 2/3 of the Parliament. And still with those elections, the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice James Patterson, has indicated that he will be back at work next Tuesday, in time for the Commission's statutory meeting. Concerns about Justice Patterson's health were put on the front burner recently after reports surfaced that he had fallen ill. While not going into details of the medical situation that sent him to the hospital, Mr. Patterson today told News Source that he is doing much better and is ready to continue with his job as chairman of the Elections Commission. He said he feels great and feels as if he now has a fresh birth of life. Questioned about the readiness of the Elections Commission for national elections, possibly within the next 3 months, Justice Patterson said he is sure the upcoming statutory meeting will discuss that issue at length. He said he would not want to offer any premature comment without first listening to all sides of the commission. The 85-year-old retired judge recently overlooked the local government elections across the country. While there were initial complaints about the process leading up to the polls, all of the political parties and groups have accepted the results of those elections and praised GCOM for conducting the polls with very few hiccups. This is your News Source Evening Bulletin. More news in a moment.
Get ready to ride it, ready to ride it, ride it, ride it, ride it, ride the wave. Open up the new vibe, drink up the boat. right fresh, right strong. Come on, ride the wave. Taste the action, satisfaction, perfection. Wave it, wave it,
Ride the new wave of excitement sweeping Guyana. Wave Pale Ale, a premium, full-bodied, strong and refreshing alcoholic brew, crafted to perfection for a bold, young, radical you. Don't settle for anything less. Catch a Wave Pale Ale and ride it today.
Wave Ale.
Crafted to perfection.
Roam like you're home, because prepaid means more with GTT. Travel to any GTT roam zone in the US, Canada, Caribbean, Latin America, or South America, and pay the same great rates to use your data from foreign as you do when you're home. With GTT, prepaid means more, so roam like you're home with GTT, Guyana's preferred roaming network.
Welcome back. Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Carl Greenidge, has briefed a senior U.S. government official on Venezuela's recent incursion into Guyana's waters to interfere with the work of an ExxonMobil contracted research vessel. On Tuesday, Minister Greenidge met and held talks in Brazil with the senior director of the United States National Security Council's Western Hemisphere Affairs, Mauricio Kleber-Caron. According to a statement from the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the discussions centered on the Guyana-Venezuela controversy, particularly the Venezuelan Navy's recent interception of the Exxon vessel in Guyana's waters. The U.S. State Department in a statement has made it clear that Guyana has a sovereign right to explore and exploit resources in its exclusive economic zone. The U.S. State Department has also asked Venezuela to respect international law and the rights of its neighbors. Venezuela is now upset with the U.S. government's statement in the matter and has said that the statement is tantamount to interference. The U.S. has maintained its support for Guyana in the border route with Venezuela. The ExxonMobil company, which is U.S.-owned, has been drilling for oil offshore Guyana. Over 5 billion barrels have already been recovered. Guyana has been briefing the international community about the issue. Turning now to the police blotter, police investigators have traveled to the Kurtaga village in the Cayuny River to probe the murder of a village captain and the injuring of his son. The incident took place on New Year's Day. The dead man has been identified as Solomon Lewis. According to reports, Lewis and his son went across to the home of his daughter, where she and her husband were involved in a domestic fight. When the father and son tried to intervene in the argument, the woman's husband attacked them with a cutlass. The father, Solomon Lewis, was chopped repeatedly about the body, while one of the hands of the young son was severed. The assailant then escaped into the jungle. He has not been seen since, and the incident has sent shockwaves throughout the small indigenous community. The man, Solomon Lewis, was a respected Tushao in the community. Indigenous leaders from across the country have been expressing their shock and sympathy at his passing. The police investigation is ongoing. And the family gathering to usher in the new year became the scene of a double murder on Monday night in quarantine as family members were attacked by gunmen. The incident occurred just after 8 o'clock on Monday night at the bush lot home of the Samaru family. According to a police report, the family members were attacked as they gathered onto the house. 3 masked gunmen stormed the premises demanding money, and when the family did not give in to their request, one of the gunmen shot 45-year-old Premchand Samaru to the face, while another gunman severely beat his 46-year-old brother, Haricharan Samaru, about his body. The armed men then relieved the 2 family members of a sum of cash and escaped. The 2 men were pronounced dead after being rushed to the Port Morant hospital. Both men worked as laborers in the community, and family members have been left devastated by the double murder. The Guyana Police Force has launched a massive manhunt in the Berbice area for the 3 robbers and are set to be working with a number of leads. And finally tonight, 3 hours into the new year, a taxi driver in the Berbice area lost his life, becoming the country's first road death for 2019. A police statement issued yesterday revealed that 49-year-old taxi driver Jagannath Ramcharan was proceeding along the number 67 public road when tragedy struck. He reportedly swerved from hitting a group of stray animals on the roadway and lost control of the car, slamming into a parked tractor at the side of the road. The driver and a lone passenger were pulled from the wreckage with multiple injuries about the body. They were both rushed to the hospital. The driver was pronounced dead, while his passenger was admitted with several injuries. The quarantine region is a big farming community, and stray animals along the roadways have been a regular sight for several years. There have been efforts to clamp down on the problem with the introduction of a stray catching unit of the Public Security Ministry. those efforts have not always been successful. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. Gordon Mosley reporting.